how this affects me personally is that next time when I hear something that's anti-Semitic, I will speak up. I say, no, I take it offensively, and I say, no, that's not cool.
Jews standing up and combating Islamophobia, Muslims standing up and combating anti-Semitism, I believe needs to be at the very foundation of this relationship. Dialogue among religious leaders is not sufficient. The bottom line is standing up for the other.
The perception that Jews and Muslims are inherently hostile to each other is actually of relatively recent vintage, the result of differences over the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. In reality, Jews and Muslims have lived alongside each other for more than a millennium, often as neighbors, friends, and collaborators. Today, Muslims and Jews are reconnecting in countries around the world and striving to restore historic relationships by working together to combat contemporary problems affecting both communities.
We know that there are conflicts in the world, all over, that affect us, and we have views and we have allegiances. But that does not mean that we shouldn't build the bridges that we need to build as communities.
No two faiths in this world are more common than Islam and Judaism.
Muslims and Jews have so much in common and mutual concern. In the United States, we're both minority religions. We both stand on a tradition of improving the world.
We need each other at crucial times.
Jews and Muslims are natural partners in this initiative because of the commonalities they share. A common patriarch, Abraham or Ibrahim, an abiding belief in one God, rich histories and religious traditions, similar rituals and customs, and a common moral imperative to help people in need. Today, in more and more countries around the world, Jews and Muslims are reaching out to each other, agreeing to disagree on aspects of the Middle East issue, while vowing to work together in the towns and cities in which they live side by side for the betterment of both communities and the larger societies they share. Many Jews and Muslims are standing together against Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, and other forms of bigotry. Jews and Muslims are standing up for the other, which is to say, standing up for each other.
Islamophobia is just a metastasized form of, anti-Semitism.
We're not talking about two separate forms of hatred here. We're talking about two sides of the same coin.
It's a disease where we do not think the other one is equal to us. It can happen to any group of people, and it's certainly happened to the Jewish people, and it's certainly happening to Muslims now.
We've got to preach it from the pulpits. We've got to preach it in the streets and in the neighborhoods and in the communities. And we've got to challenge it wherever it comes up. But we have to be motivated by serving the other, standing up for the other.
I have seen with my own eyes people who no one would ever think would be able to get along with each other, not only get along, but go out and do meaningful things with their lives together once they've been able to move beyond just these ideas that otherize one another.
No community is going to stand up and say, well, I'll defend the other if they don't feel that the other community will defend them.
It is imperative that both communities see a tangible demonstration by the other side. The book that we co-authored, I believe, is a very significant contribution. This can serve as a catalyst in breaking down walls and barriers and misunderstandings between Jews and Muslims worldwide.
Inspired by the philosophy of mutual support and mutual caring, articulated by the Foundation for Ethnic Understanding under the leadership of Rabbi Mark Schneier and Russell Simmons. individuals and organizations from the two faith communities have been coming together over the past 6 years on the local, national, and international level. Their mission? To undertake the holy work of building a global network of Jews and Muslims committed to communication, reconciliation, and cooperation. These quiet heroes are rabbis and imams, young people, professionals, students, artists, intellectuals, and everyday citizens committed to standing up for the other and living out the principles of their respective faiths. Their work has already dramatically transformed relations and shown that a positive future between Jews and Muslims is not only possible, but is already fast evolving into a vibrant reality.
With great pride, I have stood up for my Muslim brothers and sisters. From the controversial Islamic Center near Ground Zero to defending the Muslim community in the rally, which we titled Today I Am a Muslim Too.
He said, well, I would be willing to say I'm a Muslim too for a day. And that's when we came up with this concept of Today I'm a Muslim Too.
I'm a Muslim too. Press conference and promotion and rally accomplished a lot. It became national news. There was a discussion about how much Islamophobia was spreading and how Congress was taking on a McCarthy-esque type tangent.
For one day, we at least stand together with one another. And this rally was so successful. 40,000 citations all over the press. You knew that the press was hungry for this.
Having Kim Kardashian or whoever else tweet, I am Muslim today, that was a big deal. A lot of discussion amongst mainstream Americans about a wrong turn that we were taking. For Mark Sneyer and the Center for Ethnic Understanding to step up and say, you know what, we're in solidarity, was a very, very meaningful thing, and I really appreciate it.
So it was quite a message of hope and message of solidarity.
Gilad Shalit, young man, had been in captivity for literally years and years. After years of hearing about his story, meeting his father, I just became convinced that the moral issue was to demand his release. We got a crazy idea. We're going to write a letter to Khalid Mashal and tell him, in honor of Ramadan and the tradition of releasing captives, release Gilad Shalit. Now, look, we don't take any credit for it. A lot of people worked a long time and really hard to get him out. But we did think it was important to lend our voice and call for his release. And we thought it was also important to signal to the world that, look, the Muslim community doesn't condone this.
A number of days after Gilad Shalit's release, what was expressed to me through the Israeli consulate from Noam Shalit, Rabbi, don't ever underestimate the contribution that Muslim leaders made to the effort of my son's release.
Standing for the other when national crises take place that concern both communities is one way that Muslims and Jews are forming stronger bonds. More common still is the work they are doing locally to serve those in need and build stronger communities together.
Recently, we at Temple Road of Shalom have been having a conversation about how difficult it is for some of our teen students to miss school on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And one thing that has occurred to us is that this may be a common struggle that members of the Muslim community face. As two religious minorities, perhaps there are ways that we can get together and have conversations about that. You can't begin developing a local relationship with the dream that it's going to make world peace in a day. But I do feel that the building of this friendship with McLean Islamic Center can help members of our community to open their minds to the point of view of the other side.
when I talk to people about going and visiting the temple, and they are excited, even if they have not been coming to the center, our Islamic center as much, but they will be more willing to go there because they want to explore more, they want to build relationship and interact more.
New Ground is a Muslim-Jewish partnership for change based in Los Angeles. It was founded back in 2006 as a partnership between a Muslim organization and a Jewish organization, and its flagship program now is a young professionals leadership training program that we do, where each year we select a cohort of 20 Muslims and Jews that they go through this experience, and then they can go back to their communities and create more fluid conversations and create those touch points where maybe before there was just a void.
One of the most brave things that New Ground is doing is bringing it back, bringing the idea back that at one point there was unity and people did stand up, and we can also do it here.
I think unfortunately the Muslim and Jewish communities have really fought discrimination in parallel, not really combining forces or combining resources. And one of the outgrowths that we hope to be born of New Ground is the opportunity for these two communities to see their shared self-interest.
I definitely saw that both communities separately were handling the issues of hunger, handling the issues of helping out refugees, and handling those kind of issues. But I think that what New Ground and what the Islamic Center of Southern California really brought to us was to bring institutions that maybe had loosely heard of each other but weren't working together.
When Fort Hood incidents happened, Muslim Community Center was mentioned somehow in the media, and Muslim Community Center became the focus of media attention. And the biggest piece of support that we received was a letter written by Rabbi Ethan Seidel of Tiferet Israel to Washington Post, which was published. And it became a very strong support for Muslim Community Center because everybody talked about it. Rabbi Miki Sefra of Bnei Israel actually talked about the situation and that letter in his sermon the next Saturday.
The Foundation for Ethnic Understanding urges mosques and synagogues and Muslim and Jewish organizations in North America and around the world to take part in the 6th annual Weekend of Twinning, and, by doing so, to stand up for the other. Participants in twinning events in many cities will form permanent committees to fight Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, and other forms of bigotry. Each of these committees will decide what action to take in the event of hate crimes or incitement against one community or the other.
You find that you serve where you can have the biggest impact. I run many charities. I've been involved in many social and political and philanthropic activities. None have grown as quickly and are having as much an impact on a global scale as this dialogue that we've created between imams and rabbis, where rabbis are going out and fighting for imams and for the Muslim community's freedom from the shackles of so much hate, and the imams are standing up against the anti-Semitism, whether it be in their own community or anywhere.
When we organize Weekend of Twinnings on different grounds, including health fairs, feeding the hungry and others, this is to express that our two faiths are common.
I have seen the benefit of these twinnings. They not only bring communities together, but they educate a vast amount of people about not only our current collaboration, but our joint histories.
It's a grassroots effort. You can create a real multi-faith community.
We build a common ground, not a ground of compromise, but a common ground.
Join us in bringing about this reconciliation.
The only way to fight against both Islamophobia and anti-Semitism is by standing for the rights of one another.
We will know that we are succeeding when we reach a day when a Muslim sitting among themselves And if someone in that group criticizes Jews, that a Muslim will stand up and say that's not right. And similarly, that we would have to see a day that Jews sitting among themselves talking about Muslims, and if someone makes a hateful remark about Muslims, that a Jew will stand up and say that that's not right.
As minorities, as two minorities that are vibrant minorities, especially in America, I think we can be exemplars for the world, that peace is possible, coexistence is possible, and that's what the Week of Twinnings does. It brings people together who wouldn't otherwise speak to one another.
I want to encourage you to engage in the Weekend of Twinning.
I strongly urge you to participate in the 6th annual Weekend of Twinning.
I encourage you to stand up for the other. I encourage you to take part in the 6th annual Weekend of Twinning.
So I would urge all of you to participate in the upcoming Weekend of Twinning.
I urge you to take part in our 6th annual Weekend of Twinning. I promise it'll be an enlightening experience.
Once you do, recognize how similar we are and that we do share this common faith as the children of Abraham, then we could journey together to that promised land of reconciliation.
To learn about the Weekend of Twinning, go to www.ffeu.org.